The early morning sun filtered through the canopy of birch and pine surrounding a small wooden cabin near the edge of a dense Russian forest. Inside, the smell of fresh blini, thin Russian crepes, filled the air as Irina hummed a soft tune in the kitchen. Outside, the snow from the long winter had mostly melted, giving way to a carpet of green moss and budding wildflowers. Nikolai, a tall and broad-shouldered man of 46, was already at work. As a lumberjack, his days began early and ended late. But his heart always remained at home, with his wife Irina, their 7-year-old daughter Natalia, and Grom, the beloved family dog. Grom had been with them for 6 years now. Nikolai had found him as a half-frozen stray pup on a bitter winter evening, barely alive in the snow. Natalia had been just a baby then, from the moment she first wrapped her chubby hands around the pup's neck. The two had been inseparable. Now, Grom was a strong, majestic Siberian husky with thick fur like winter's first snowstorm and eyes that sparkled with both gentleness and strength. He was more than a dog. He was family. That Sunday morning was especially peaceful. Natalia, her brown curls bouncing as she walked, stood at the door pulling on her boots. "Mama," she called, "can I go outside to see the little flowers?" Irina glanced toward the window, her hand still busy flipping the last blini. "Only near the cabin." "Natalia, don't go too far." "I won't," Natalia promised, already halfway out the door. Grom lay stretched on the porch, his head resting on his paws. His ears twitched as he watched Natalia trot down the worn path leading toward the woods. With the sun warming his fur, he closed his eyes, trusting that all was well. But curiosity is a strong force in a child's heart. As Natalia wandered past the tree stump she always played on, she saw a cluster of bright blue flowers just a little further ahead. Giggling, she skipped toward them, then noticed a butterfly fluttering deeper into the trees. Step by step, drawn by wonder, she followed the butterfly and forgot the world behind her. Back in the kitchen, Irina finished setting the table. "Natalia," she called, "blini are ready." There was no answer. She wiped her hands and stepped outside. "Natalia?" Only the breeze rustled the leaves. A ripple of unease stirred in her chest. She hurried down the porch steps, her eyes scanning the forest's edge. "Natalia." Grom stood suddenly, sensing her panic. He growled low, ears perked forward, sniffing the air. Then, without hesitation, he bolted into the woods. "Natalia," Irina called again, her voice cracking. She rushed after the dog, her heart pounding. Deeper in the forest, Natalia twirled around, placing the blue flower into her hair. She hummed a tune her father often sang, something about brave hearts and the wind. She didn't hear the crack of a branch behind her. She didn't notice the heavy paw prints pressed into the soft earth. But the bear did. The large brown bear, hungry after a long hibernation, was foraging nearby when the sweet sound of the child's voice caught its attention. Curious, then irritated, then aggressive, it lumbered toward the source of the noise. Natalia turned just in time to see the massive creature rising from the underbrush. Her eyes widened, her breath caught. The bear let out a low, guttural growl. She screamed, and then, from the trees, like a blur of silver and thunder, came Grom. He didn't bark, he didn't hesitate. He launched himself at the bear, jaws clamping onto its back leg. The bear roared in pain and fury, twisting to swipe at the attacker. Grom yelped but held on. His teeth sank deeper, using every ounce of strength to keep the beast away from the girl. "Natalia, run!" Irina's voice echoed through the trees. The girl, frozen in fear, turned toward the sound of her mother's voice. Irina burst through the underbrush, face pale, arms open wide. Natalia ran into them, sobbing, as Irina swept her up. Behind them, the forest shook with the chaos of the fight. The bear shook off Grom and turned again, this time swiping its massive paw across Grom's hind leg. The dog fell with a sharp cry, his body crumpling, but he still growled. He still lifted his head. That's when the gunshot rang out. It came from the direction of the village, one of the neighbors. Alerted by the commotion, the shot was aimed high into the air, not to harm, but to scare, and it worked. The bear, startled, turned and lumbered back into the shadows of the forest. Irina knelt beside Grom. Natalia still clutched to her chest. Grom. Oh God, Grom, she whispered, stroking his head. His tail thumped once. More villagers arrived, a small group of men with concerned faces and rifles slung over their shoulders. Is anyone hurt? Irina shook her head. Only Grom? One of the men, Pavel, bent down and gently scooped the wounded husky into his arms. You're a hero, boy, he said softly. Back at the cabin, Nikolai had returned, breathless and wild-eyed after hearing the news in the village. When he saw his daughter safe, he dropped to his knees and pulled her close, tears streaking his dirt-covered face. Grom was laid on a blanket near the fireplace, his injured leg cleaned and wrapped. The village vet came by, examining the wound and giving them hope. He'll make it, the vet said, but it'll take time. He'll need rest, a lot of love, that they could give. For the next month, the cabin was filled with care and quiet joy. Natalia hardly left Grom's side. She would read to him, brush his fur gently, and place her favorite ribbons around his neck like medals. Do you know what you are? She whispered one night, lying next to him by the fire. You're my knight, my snow knight. Grom licked her hand in reply. Word of the dog's bravery spread throughout the town. A small ceremony was held in the village square, where Grom was honored with a medal, a new collar, and a mountain of treats. But Grom didn't care for glory. All he ever wanted was to protect his little girl, the child who'd grown up beside him, who'd whispered secrets into his ears and wrapped scarves around his neck in winter. He had done what he was born to do. He had protected his family. The forest never felt quite the same after that day. Natalia no longer wandered far without Grom by her side. Irina watched her daughter with new eyes, eyes that understood how close she had come to loss. And Nikolai, strong as the trees he felled, never ended a day without kneeling to scratch Grom behind the ears and whisper a quiet, "Thank you." And as for Grom, his leg slowly healed, the scar a reminder of the day he fought a bear to save a child. But in his heart, he remained the same, a loyal, gentle soul who watched over his family like a guardian carved from snow and shadow. Because some bonds are stronger than time. Some heroes walk on four legs. And sometimes, the fiercest love comes from a wagging tail and a pair of ice-blue eyes. The story of Grom is more than just an exciting adventure between people and the wild. It's a quiet anthem of love, loyalty, and sacrifice. Grom, the Siberian husky rescued from the snow, became a symbol of unconditional devotion. Though he was just a dog, Grom acted like a true hero, no hesitation, no fear, only one instinct, to protect his family. In that life or death moment between little Natalia and the wild bear, Grom chose to face danger head-on instead of fleeing. His actions teach us a powerful lesson. Real love isn't shown through words, it's proven through action. Sometimes even at the cost of one's life. This story also gently reminds us. Sometimes, heroes don't wear capes, they have four legs and silent eyes. Family isn't always about blood, it's about who would fight for you without question. And in a noisy, chaotic world, there are still pure, quiet forms of love, like sunlight streaming through the trees. Cherish those who stand quietly beside you, whether they speak your language or simply wag their tail. Because they remind us that love is the strongest power any heart can hold.